Yeah, I'm just here. I'm looking at the news and stuff. I'm seeing like black kids, they're getting arrested for hire, and it's like who is even hiring them? Like the focus is who's hiring them. Because like we know, like in Canada at least, you cannot talk about the racism or any of that. Then black, I mean, people show you the power that they have to sweep things under the rug and not have anything posted in the media. Now, the media and the medium and ways of telling history, for as long as we knew it, history has been told through the lens of pharmaceuticals from Genesis, right? Adam and Eve, they took medicine. So women took, like, now Toronto is trying to tell history through the lens of sex. Now, I ask you, what's the, like even Jay Z, like Jay Z's a drug dealer, right? That's through the lens of pharmaceutical. They could have went two different ways and like tell history through the lens of a pimp. Now, what would you call that? If you tell history through the lens of the pimp and there is medicine, what do you tell it? You know what I mean? Like, what are we fighting? What are we combating against? Are we fighting God? Like, it gets to the way, like, you're fighting God at some points. You know what I mean? Like, so like, Toronto just doesn't really have an adversary. It looks like Drake's a good musician. By all means, he could tell, like, he could just make up songs about anything. But like, he doesn't have the adversary, and like American media is very adversarial. Canada tried to sweep racism and stuff under the rug, and you shouldn't be able to talk about certain things. Um, but yeah, when you step into America, it's wild. People have guns. People allowed to kill. Like, it's wild. It gets wild. So like, through what lens do you tell the story through? Through what lens do you tell history through? Like, you could have the nonsense what's going on right now. Nobody cares, and we could do what we want because we could overpower certain communities when we want. And that's the adversary right there. That's the story you're trying to suppress. Like, the people that say that, okay, since we have the power, we could do what we want. By all means, there you go. That's your adversary. But for some reason, you fight me. You're the adversary now. So now, my story should be about you. I mean, you have people coming from regions that's not really even part of our mediums, like regions that you would call criminal, right? Using things that you would consider criminal by all means, like through the lens of telling a story, through the lens of history, and through the lens of communicating with the future. By all means, you have people from other regions that bring their version, or bring how they're gonna orchestrate or tell a story. It be totally different than we do. I mean, Eve did take the fruit first, but then again, we have to say that, okay, the fruit is medicine, because like, they throw different things at you, and like, through all of it, like, I'm trying to find reason. Like, you're not trying to like blame anybody per se, or you're trying to find reasons to point fingers or make hierarchies or make it really political. Like, You telling a story for, like hip hop is largely about the black story. And the reason why it's not like Eminem didn't have like Eminem, like what's the necessary adversary? The adversary is going to be, I guess, he was smart enough to choose like, okay, relationships. Eminem general is relationships, like he's angry like how things work in communities and stuff like that, and he's trying to raise a kid, and through all that, you're gonna end up making your adversary black people, and now you're punching down. You guys are just some, you know what I mean, already unfair, but you guys are punching down. You guys have no big adversary that's worth fighting. By all means, you guys are just punching down. Imagine how ridiculous Eminem would have sounded in the time of like Jay-Z. If he said, okay, black people are my enemy, and let's rap about how black people is oppressing me. Through the lens of history, by all means, where does the power lie? The Jew, the one that was just a slave. So like, you look better in history telling your story through the lens of a slave than through the lens of the guy with all the power and there's nothing to overcome, just governs. There's always adversary. The world changed because there was like regions that didn't get along and stuff, and that could have happened. Now it's more like there's international laws. There's so much. Everything is just so much about the international community and breaking international, because we have trade and we do things with everybody. Everything is connected, right? So like everything is just so connected and it's just so international that having adversaries it gets tricky, because who has the power? The guy with the power is definitely not the guy that has to fight for anything. Period. The guy that has the power to start with, he doesn't have to fight for anything. You know what I mean? Like, he would have to go to like a next region to fight a next region. Like go to, like, you see what's happening with Russia, or see what's happening with how do you say, Iran. Those things have been going on for, because we don't have adversaries no more. So now we keep on having to dig into our old stories. Those are old stories. That's why the Middle East is like that, because we don't have no adversaries. So every time we have a conflict, to tell the story, we have to dig into the pockets of the old. Those are old stories being told. So yeah, I don't really want to upset nobody. You know, you have all the power. If I upset you, I'll be like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and bringing to the poor. But you have the power. You're stealing from the poor and keeping the rich rich. I mean, yeah, I don't really have enough to say, but it's stupidness, because when I go outside, the whole nobody cares, or stuff, people yelling stuff at me, and they're just like, where are you punching? What are you talking about? Who is the adversary, and how is your story being told through the lens of history? You're looking at it right now and you're saying, oh, this is unfair. So now you have to be prepared to lie. And now we're living in a time where everything it's not like back in the day. We're living in a time where everything could be recorded. It doesn't matter. Everything could be like everything could be like rectified. You could go and research anything, almost. You know, they lie sometimes, but then you have people that dig in and get the truth. So I'm going to keep it real and end it here.